Journal time.
Hello and welcome to the Rangers Journal. This is the weekly Rangers News podcast. Take two for us, Bob. I'm afraid. I'm sorry, everyone who's tuned in earlier. I had clicked the go live button, but I guess something had happened. So we got a chance to correct anything we said wrong, at least, Bob, eh?
Yeah, I'll try not to make as many voice mistakes as I did in that last 5-10 minutes. So yeah, looking forward to getting the music out.
Well, do me a favour, mate. Don't swear as much this time if that's all right, because we don't like that here.
Yeah.
So as I said, mate, it's Rangers News. It's going to be good to look over the last week because sometimes you can. When I was collating a list of what things we're going to talk about today, I've forgotten some of them. So that was some news there that I'd not either missed or just completely forgot. But anyway, we'll go over it now. First thing I wanted to talk about was Liam Kelly signing. For me, solid number 2. Do you think he's coming in to replace Jack Butland?
I don't think so. I think probably more likely to replace Robbie McCrory. I think that'll be probably the push out the door that Robbie probably needs at this stage in his career. I think he's 25, 26, and again, very similar to Kelly when Liam left, that he was seeking first team opportunities to be the number one elsewhere, which Kelly's went and done at Livingston and QPR and Motherwell, and obviously been Motherwell captain the last year or so. Again, it's probably put him in good stead to come in and be that steady number 2 that's more likely to get some game time, probably in the cups or if there's a suspension or an injury to Jack Butland. But yeah, I think he's a reliable number 2. I think it's disappointing to see, or the likelihood that Robbie will go, but I think at this stage in his career, he really needs, if he's not going to be number 1 here, he needs to go and be number 1 elsewhere. So I think the time's right for him to move on. As sad as it is to see him go, I think that the signing of Kelly probably has made Robbie's mind up, if not before.
I touched on it there, and there's a couple of comments already. Let me just bring this up from William, that you'd hate to be labelled as a number 2, and that's kind of what I was thinking as well. He must know he's not coming in to unseat Jack Butland, as I was saying.
Yeah.
What does it say to you about his temperament? I mean, as I was saying before, me and you would happily sit on the bench as number 2, but we're not goalkeepers, number 1 goalkeepers at another club. So what do you think makes him want to come in to Rangers to be a number 2? Because he, as I say, he must know that that's what he's going to be.
I think he must have the confidence in himself, having been a number 1 at his previous clubs. Maybe not so much at QPR, but definitely over the last year at Motherwell, and being captain as well. He brings that kind of, I would say, experience, the quality. He already knows the club. He's come through our youth system. He ticks the Scottish quota, which everyone has been going on about recently with the homegrown talent. I think as well, looking at it, because we've lost, some of the senior leadership group that has been discussed recently, he probably comes in and adds that, because he has the expectation, he has the standards, he knows the club from being there from a young boy, going out, getting that experience in, the quote unquote real world elsewhere, where it's not the same standards and caliber of Rangers, and can come back and hopefully provide some, be a mentor to the younger keepers. Your Kieran Wrights I've seen as well, like Sir Jay Hogarth going out on loan as well over the last week or so. So imparting that knowledge to the younger keepers, to say to them, look, this is where my career path has led. It might be, I know you hope to be number 1 here, but if it doesn't work out, then you're certainly going to be a number 1 elsewhere. It just may not be to the same levels at the club, at Rangers.
Yeah, well, I'm happy enough with him coming in. I guess it means that McCrory is going to be going. I don't think he's going to be loaned out this time. I think he probably has to go away and do what Liam Kelly has done, and even that his brother's done, go away and make a name for himself at another club. So sorry that he's not came through the way maybe a few years ago we all probably hoped that he would come in and take over from McGregor. Take over from McGregor and kind of be seamless, because you and me both probably, mate, have grown up with a strong line of keepers, and I was hoping that for McCrory as well, but I don't think it's to be. Moving on, what was the next thing we wanted to talk about?
Probably the other signing that we had this week was Clinton Nsiala from AC Milan. Obviously an AC Milan youth player. I don't think he's played any minutes for the first team, which may have given us an advantage in getting him signed for the club. Maybe the guarantee of first team football's been more enticing for us than it would be elsewhere. But I'm sure he didn't have a lack of suitors from other European teams. So I think it's a good signing. I think, kind of in our first take, we had mentioned that, it looks very similar to, a Calvin Bassey type project, but I've not seen a lot of him. I'm not sure about yourself, Billy, what your thoughts are on the signing and how you think he'll fit into the team.
Well, like yourself, all I've seen is kind of your YouTube clips, and I guess that was the B team he was playing for in these things. I believe he's been on the bench for the first team, but never actually got on the park. I think, as maybe other people do, that he's coming here with the promise of actually, guaranteed, maybe not every single game, mate, but guaranteed minutes, because, as you say, there would have been other people interested or other teams interested in him. I don't think he's coming here to be the youth prospect that maybe we initially thought. I think just looking at it from a few weeks on, because we knew about him coming a few weeks ago, that he's coming here to hopefully play, which I'm happy about. So yeah, I think that he's maybe going to be more important to the team this season than we initially thought.
Yeah, I think the same. I think probably what we touched on the last time we were on for the Rangers news a couple of weeks ago, Billy. And fun enough, it kind of I don't know if Mr. Clement watched this. I feel as if he kind of reiterated what we said, that he's kind of going out and getting the kind of youthful players that they could get a hold of first, and obviously now that the kind of international windows open, he'll be hopefully bringing more experience into the squad. I think that's part of it, is that I think the signings we've made are young in age, but I do think that there's an improvement in quality from previous youth, younger signings. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think he looks a very physically fit young lad. I don't think he'll be, I think he'll, British football is very different to European football, Billy. So I think that might be the thing that he needs to get used to most. But technically, I'm assuming he's very good, having played at AC Milan. And again, Italian football's always been known for having very good defences. So hopefully he brings that quality and that calibre to the first team as when he gets game time.
I'm hoping that as well. But I wanted to flag up Paul's point here, that he was offered a deal to stay at Milan, and if he was going to sit on a bench, you surely want to sit on a bench in Italy than sit on a bench here. So that's why I think he's probably been told or been guaranteed at least as much as you can be that he's going to be playing. I'll move on now, mate. The longest running saga I can really remember in recent history, because weeks ago we were promised we were getting Igamane to sign, Hamza Igamane, sorry, and it looks like today it's finally going to happen. Now we've done pods on him. Actually interviewed Yusuf, who's a Moroccan expert on Moroccan football, and he gave us a glowing report about him. So I'm excited about him. Feel it's dragged on a wee bit longer than it needed to be. I mean, we were seeing last week photos of him on holiday in South America, I believe. So it didn't ever seem to be as close as we were led to believe, eh?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's definitely been one of the longest signings, Willie Won't saga that we've had for probably a good couple of years now. Hopefully the scarf picture is in the post, as they say, and hopefully that's put out by the club today at some point. So yeah, looking forward to it. Again, he seems an exciting prospect, just because we touched on, hopefully the quality of the younger players that we're bringing in is of a higher standard than what we've previously brought to the club. So yeah, looking forward to it. I think he obviously fills a spot in the first team, similar to Nsiala. I guess he's probably promised minutes. Again, British football will be tough for him, but I'm hoping that with the grounding he's had in Morocco, that he takes it in his stride, and hopefully he settles quickly and into the first team.
There's not much I know about Moroccan football. I have been to Morocco for a couple of weeks, 13 years ago, something like that. like the place, but I don't know anything about the football. I've seen a football stadium in Marrakesh, but didn't get to go to a game or anything, which I now regret, seeing as we're signing Moroccan. So I should have probably looked to see when the games were on. But I mean, he, by all accounts, by his YouTube compilation, he's strong, finishes with both feet, and he slides and does the Alfie celebration. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. And there's too many comparisons with him, and it might not be fair. And we don't know yet, but we didn't know. He's very similar signing to Alfie, I guess, coming from a league we didn't know much about. A strong player.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's obviously something that we've lacked for the last year at least, and maybe having a bit more of a physical presence up front. I know, we lost Danilo to injury, but again, I think even looking at Danilo and Dessers from last season, as much as they might be technically good strikers, you maybe wouldn't have said Dessers was the most physical. Yes, he probably put himself about the more he learned about the league and the more games he played, but hopefully this lad comes in and is has the same, I'm going to say same attitude as Alfie, maybe not the same fitness fitness concerns, but again, I'm hoping that he comes in and adds that physicality that we've probably lacked over the last year. And again, it's an added threat up front. Maybe gives us a chance to play two if we wanted to play two, whether that's with Dessers or with Danilo. I know there's been some rumours that Dessers could be on his way out, so they may come to fruition. So it might end up being, if Clermont wants to go with the two, it might very well be with Danilo and Igamane.
What do you think about how long it's dragged on? I mean, I don't really blame the club for this, because they can only sign the player when he's signed, and there's very little information comes out of the club. For me, it's come from the other side, at least. I mean, the noise was coming out of Morocco, and maybe it's just not great to be sitting, 2-3 weeks, especially with the signing that fell through a few weeks ago. That you're almost like, oh, it's just about to sign. It doesn't really do the fans' temperament any good, or I guess your pulse or blood pressure. Sorry. So, what's your feelings on how long it's kind of been going on?
Well, I think I can see there from one of the comments, Paul, saying that his visa was held up. So again, it might have just been the documentation that's held back the move. And again, it's definitely been more from either the player side or the players' camp side that probably has prolonged the signing, the delay in signing. But yeah, I think it's obviously difficult. These things aren't done overnight. I think even with the rumours that we've had, probably since the end of the season, a lot of these deals are have to be negotiated. There's again player demands, agent demands, the club demands between the selling party and the buying party. So I never expect it to be quick. It's always better when it's quick, Billy. I think we'd all agree on that. The sooner people are brought in and the sooner people are sold, the better and the more stable the team is and the more settled they can become, rather than having delays and bringing folk in and you're maybe wanting to, it was kind of similar to last season when we brought in so many attacking threats that not all of them settled straight away. We had issues between injury, and again a settling period for them all. So again, for me, I'm hoping that if the signing is announced today, he's in the door. They're out on their pre-season as of next week to the Netherlands. I know they've had the last week or so to Auchenhowie. But yeah, I'm hopeful that he settles quickly and he's ready to hit the ground running.
I think you made I don't know if this is the point you were trying to make, but probably the quick signings don't take any less time or more time than the long drawn out ones. It's just that we don't hear about it until they're at the stadium or at the training facility, have the scarf above their head. So it's maybe just it's not great to have things leaked. Maybe it's best just to find out about them when they're standing there with the scarf above their head.
Yeah, I definitely think it probably doesn't do our anticipation or our anxiousness any good to have it drawn out. I think I would rather just have no news and then all of a sudden the Twitter or the socials are just buzzing with like 5 signings. I know we're
Yeah.
not going to get 5 signings in one day. That's probably long going, Billy. But if we did, it would be great. And if Rangers, if you're listening, please do. please give us a couple of signings, at least over the next day or so. But yeah, I would prefer to not know until it's done and you get the pictures and everything's announced. It's very difficult. I mean, even in our chat, even in the journal chat, Billy, there's the amount of chat that we've had over the last week just waiting for the next signing to be announced it's not good for the ticker.
I don't think the days of 5 signings just bring me back to Ashley and loaning players from Newcastle. I don't know if I want to go back to that time either.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. That's I'd rather have quality signings in
than 5.
than those infamous 5. Those infamous 5.
Can you move us on then? What was the next thing we wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think even just the other drawn out saga, which is the issues with the stadium. I think it's not a great look for the club that we're still not any closer to knowing where we're going to start the season, whether it be at Hampden or Murrayfield. I know we've got the friendly in a couple of weeks' time there, but again, rumours are that Hampden are now the front runners to give us, the ground to use for however long it's required. I'm hoping it's a matter of weeks rather than a matter of months, but yeah, it's not a good look. I know we spoke about this last time we were on, Billy. So again, have your thoughts changed? Have your feelings changed on it? What do you think about it so far?
Well, a very own Scott was done the Ibrox tour on Wednesday, I think it was. Sorry if I'm wrong with that, Scott, but he sent us some pictures of it. It looked to be a bit further on than I was expecting, to be honest with you. There looked to be these metal frames and beams there from the pictures he sent. So we may not be quite far behind, just based, I'm no engineer or anything. It didn't look as bad as I maybe thought. So maybe it can be a couple of games. I'm always ever optimist that maybe they can get this done and turned around in time, for the start of the season. But I think I'm maybe just maybe deluding myself with that one. So the only thing about going to Hampden, I hate going to Hampden. Like the pitch, it's like it was not designed to watch football at, especially if you're behind one of the goals. I was there for a Scotland game a couple of months back, and it was awful. Like you just don't feel part of it. Obviously, Old Firm finals are great, and you don't really mind it for the excitement of that kind of thing. But if you're just playing your run-of-the-mill games, it's not a great stadium. I don't think there was any other options. I don't think it's a great option to ask Rangers fans, especially ones travelling from Northern Ireland, for instance, to travel through to Murrayfield. At least Hampden, not the most accessible stadium either, but at least they can get home for the boats and however they get back to Northern Ireland. But even locally, a couple of guys that go even down your way, it would be a pain in the neck to go through to Murrayfield, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think we caught that probably in the last time we were on, Billy, that for myself, being west of Scotland to try and travel through to Murrayfield for a game would probably take your whole day. Never mind the folks that are coming over from Northern Ireland. That would be probably 36 to 48 hours between travel probably on a Friday night to get there on a Saturday morning to travel through to then try and get back either on a Saturday night or into the Sunday. So it just adds the cost onto the games, and folk don't want to be paying that. They've already paid their season ticket money for their seat at Ibrox, and again, it's just, as I said to you, I'm one of the folks that have moved from the Broomloan to the Copeland this year, and I'm really hoping that we're not left waiting months to get back to the stadium. I know there have been probably some improvements in the timeline, and so from some of the pictures that have been circulated, it does look like there has been some progress made. But again, there's no transparency from the club. The last time we spoke, they had put the statement out on the Rangers website to say, they were waiting for materials from Asia. Whether that's changed or not, we don't know. There's been no update. Again, we don't know where we're starting the season. It's just, I think the difficulty, and probably moves on maybe to a slightly different point than what we're probably going to touch on, but the board have yet to give us anything. And understand again, more kind of what we're talking about with leaks for signings. I'd rather have leaks from the board to give us some progress on other important things more so than the signing leaks. I think, it's just a frustrating period for the fans that are impacted by it. And again, it's all fans at the moment. It's not even attempting to open Ibrox up partially. It's all fans that have tickets to the games.
It's really telling that we're relying on information from people going on tours to see what's going on. It's disappointing. At least if they even say, "Look, well, we don't know," come out and say they don't know. I mean, it's okay to say that. At least we're not sitting, thinking that they're holding information back from us, or they're trying to. Maybe they'll slip it through when they slip it through they announce a signing, so they'll put bad news out just after. But not. Just be honest with us, I think, is the main thing, because a lot of people rely on public transport, boats, planes, driving up from down south as well. So lots of people are waiting to find out how the first few months of the season, what they need to do to plan for it. So I think you're right. That is another point we need to consider, that it's not a good look on the board yet again, I'm afraid. But I'm not board bashing. I just want them to realise we're on their side. We just want them to tell us what's going on, so we can plan as well.
Yeah, exactly. We all want the best for the club, Billy. I think that probably needs to be kept in mind by the board members. I understand they're trying to do their job, and that they probably don't want to give too much away. But at the same time, you need to give us something. I think, we're all. I say there's a lot of folk that are behind the board, and obviously there's some detractors. I understand that as with every team, but the more transparent the board and the club are with the fans, the more likely that they'll be given the patience. Because I'd like to think we are on the whole a patient bunch of fans. Considering we're waiting days and weeks for signings. So it would be nice for the club to release an update, even if it's weekly, just to say, look, here's where we're at with it. We're still waiting for this, or we're waiting for that. And probably with any walk of life, Billy, probably similar kind of what we're talking about before we went live, in terms of jobs, to get a weekly update would be just a nice courtesy from the club to give the fans, just so that we know where we are and where we stand.
Yeah, quite right. Well, again, we'll move on, because we are kind of repeating what we said a few weeks ago, which is also telling that we don't have any more information than we did a few weeks ago. We'd be remiss not to talk about it, because the rumours still go around about Tav and Goldson and connections to the Saudi League. Now, if it's okay with Scott, if he could make the picture he mentioned of Curry underneath Tav's jumper available on our social media accounts, that would be great, because the several pods we've touched on Tav, he's been certainly one of his great detractors. So it was nice to see that photo of him proudly standing next to Tavernier's shirt in the dressing room. So Scotty, mate, get that one released on social media. Stuff if he gives you permission or not, just do it. But yeah, couple of things on the rumours with Tav and Goldson. It seems to it's came to light this week, at least to me, that if they are going to go to Saudi, the reason it's not happened yet is because the Saudi transfer window doesn't open to mid-July, not the beginning of July like I initially thought. So that could be holding things up. But there's also been interest, I believe, from England in Goldson. So it's not just one source. I can't remember the team. I think it was a League One team, which you might not want to go down that level.
Yeah,
Birmingham, that's right.
Yeah.
So there is
just so happens that we're playing them as well. sorry to interrupt you, Billy.
that would be nice if at half time he could switch sides and that was him officially with them after that. But I mean, would you think? Do you still think Saudi is a likely destination if they are to go?
It's difficult to say, Billy. I think there's been, again, just the speculation has been, just dragging along with both of them. I know they've both been at training at Auchenhowie over the last week or so, and I think that's, say that's whether that's telling or not. They're obviously they're paid to do a job by the club, and they need to show up, and until they're told not to show up. So I think for me, at the age that they both are, they've both contributed to very little success in the club. Obviously, Tav's slightly more gets slightly more credit in the bank than Goldson, I would say, just because A, he's captain, B, for the goals and the contributions he's given us in, the games he's played. But I think, we keep coming back to it. It's the end of a cycle. I think we really need to start moving on from these players and bringing kind of fresh energy, fresh ideas into the first team, as well as the club in general. So yeah, I would, for Goldson, I wouldn't be that sad to see him go. Again, if we can get a quality centre back in to replace him, then by all means give him a good handshake and see him out the door. But for me personally, Tav's a bit more of a stickler for me. I think I would be happy for him to stay. Whether or not as captain, that's another discussion that we could have as well. But again, being 32, coming up to potentially a testimonial if he stays, it would be probably one of the last testimonials you'll see in football in general, just because the length of players' contracts, they don't ever stay for 10 years, never mind, stay any longer than that. So, it's difficult. Plus it's the money involved with it. The money might turn their heads, and that's obviously a big factor as well, depending on how much money the club are going to get. Maybe it's it's too good to turn down for players at that age to not let say to them, look, we understand you might want to stay, but it's too good an offer for the club to turn down. So yeah, again, a lot of factors in place, but both of them, I can see both of them going. If anyone were to stay, possibly more so Tav than Goldson, but again, we need to wait and see what happens with that.
Well, I say remiss if we didn't bring it up again, but again, unfortunately, there's no movement on it yet. But I do think it's possibly more to do with the Saudi transfer window opening than the club not wanting to do a deal. But what was next on your list, mate, to talk about?
Again, I think it's rumours. I think we've had a bit of a weird one this week. I've seen on social media that Jose Enrique was touting Cantwell to Lecce in Italy. So, excuse me, folks. But yeah, I think that was an interesting one that was made public, intentionally or unintentionally, by the agent. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Again, it's Cantwell seems to be one again. This divides opinion. I know Scotty's kind of past him now. I think he's maybe more than happy for him to see him go. I think the number 10 position for us is a very much contested position. A lot of rumours about a lot of the guys that we've got in the squad could be going. So if we could get a higher quality, a higher caliber player, then as much as I like him, I think again it'd be good to see him go if we get good money for him.
I do like him, and you hear, if he's surrounded by better players, he'll be better. Has he done enough? I think probably his stats show he hasn't. He's certainly not scored enough. He does nice wee tricks and nice wee things, but I just don't think that's what appeals to Clement. You remember, I can't remember the game it was, but we scored a goal in Europe, and then they were celebrating at the corner doing a wee dance, and Clement was not happy about that. I don't think he likes that side of the game. I don't think he likes the showboating. I don't think he likes the social media stuff. He wants athletic players, which I'm not saying Todd Cantwell's not athletic as well, but he's more of your flashy type player. I think the off-field stuff probably seals it for me that Clement would want him to go on if we got an offer for him. It was weird having that that tweet, and you're like, was it who gave permission for that? Was it just an accident? He sent it to the wrong person. It seems weird.
Yeah, I think, not that I've read into it a lot, but I think it was the agent thought he was direct messaging another agent directly when he actually didn't. It was an actual fan account. So it looks as if it was just a miscommunication, a misunderstanding between the social media accounts, which again touched on, I think, what we were, the other pod over the last week that we had with, players on social media, which again, if you've not checked out, go and check out because it was a good watch. It kind of touches on that. We know that Todd Cantwell seems to like to post on social media regularly. So yeah, it kind of, just when you were talking about it, Billy, it just reminded me of when Roy Mackay, the clip of Roy Mackay and Brian Kent came out, and he was like, "What tricks are for the circus?" And it was just like, maybe Clermont has that similar European mentality of, you need to be a professional footballer first and foremost, do your job on the pitch, and then you can celebrate and have the accolades or whatever else goes along with it. I think it's very difficult because, again, probably from Alfie moving on, Cantwell is that guy for us now that is just targeted, whether it be by opposition fans, opposition teams, social media. He's just that person that seems to be the focal for a lot of players, a lot of people, anger, frustration with the club, with the team, which it's not his fault as such, but again, it just seems to be a reputation that seems to be being gained, whether intentionally or unintentionally, by the player, which it's just a very strange circumstance, just very strange over the last week with this.
If it was going to happen to someone, it's Todd Cantwell, though, isn't it? That's what made it weird for me. That it's like, it doesn't seem to happen. It doesn't happen to Scott Wright.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen to Goldson. So or Tav, whatever.
Yeah.
It's maybe just because he's got that reputation of being, Instagram and Twitter and posts and shush burgers and all that kind of nonsense, that it was just strange that it was him. I just wonder how deliberate it was, whether he was involved with the leak or not, but we never know. Reports at the beginning of the week on certain outlets, mate, was that the McLean deal was off, but it then appeared probably around about Wednesday night, Thursday, that no talks apparently are still ongoing for Kenny McLean and Rangers.
Yeah, this is, again, another strange one, Billy, that seems to be dragging out since before the Euro started, and again, obviously, because he's probably now going back to his club for probably the start of their pre-season. It'll be interesting to see if that changes. I know that we've had discussions within the WhatsApp chat about the fact that he's been player of the year. I think over the last year he's Norwich captain. I don't think they're going to let him go for any low ball figure that seems to be bandied about. I think try to get him for 1 million, 2 million is just out of the question. I think they'll probably be looking for 4 or 5, which again is probably what's been reported in the mainstream media. So for me, I would like him to come home. I think he's a good player. I think he would, again, kind of, as we touched on with Liam Kelly, would bring experience. He's played the league. He's a Rangers fan, which again, obviously, in the eyes of the fans is obviously, something that definitely attracts players, attracts fans to players or potential signings. So yeah, he would have that experience. I think, again, having lost the likes of Jack and Lundstrom from the midfield, he would add a bit of steel, which is always good. Again, against the kind of lesser teams in the league, or so-called lesser teams, I should say. But yeah, I think if we could get a deal done, I wouldn't be unhappy to see him sign. I think, again, just the protracted delays, whether it be wage demands, the signing on fee, agent demands, club demands. I hope that hopefully we can get it sorted sooner rather than later, and either move on if we can't sign him, if we can't agree anything, or try and get the deal done and over the line, so again that he can be in for pre-season and start getting settled into the squad and the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's when I heard that it was supposedly off, I wasn't really surprised, because why would Norwich let the player of the year go? One of the best players in the league for getting the ball back, I believe, as well, stat wise. So why would they be looking to let him go on the cheap? But then when you also hear that no, it is still ongoing, the talks are still going on, it's because I think players still have a lot of say. They can force through a move if they really want it, and I think he probably really wants it to come to us, lifelong Rangers fan and so forth. So I'm not surprised by either side of that news that came out this week. But I would like him. That I'm wary of. I know we need experienced players. He's maybe just for me just that 1 or 2 years over what I was hoping for. Was he 32, I believe? So yeah, I was hopefully looking for experienced players, maybe around the 28 to 30 mark, and not for sign-on value, just for like longevity, that
Yeah.
they come to us and they stay with us and they see the career out with us. But to me, he looks like the type of player like a in prime Ryan Jack, winning the ball back, that type of player. I've only really seen him, to be honest, playing for Scotland, and even that, he doesn't get that many minutes under Steve Clarke anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good to see him here. Move us on then, mate. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, I think just as we probably come up to the start of the season, obviously the fixtures were released over the last week or so. Interesting, like obviously the first game is away to Hearts at Tynecastle. We've then get two home games before going over to the other side of the city, which again's probably because we've not got the winter break this year. It's probably why it's so early in the campaign. So yeah, but I think it's Ross County at home, if we're at home, depending where the home is. In Dundee, I think it was the two home games before we go to Celtic Park. So yeah, I think it's those first four games will be crucial. Again, just as we touched on, whether we're at home at Ibrox or Murrayfield or Hampden, it'll definitely be an interesting start to the season. What were your thoughts on the fixtures when they came out?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking to see if maybe the SPFL had information that the fans didn't. Maybe they swapped games and we got 3 or 4 away games at the beginning. That to me would tell us we're going to be not back at Ibrox for the start of the season. But no, two home games out of the first 3. I believe even the Old Firm games are a bit more split up than the normally are. We're not going to have like the 3 in the last month, so that was good because I don't know. You seem to not get any for 3-4 months, and then all of a sudden they all come along at once. It's your bus analogy. But the away to Hearts, maybe I'm more wary of it than I should be. I think we do end up doing fairly okay at Tynecastle. It's a good stadium to go to. It's a good atmosphere to go to. But it's going to be. I mean, the 3 I was not hoping for was Aberdeen away, Kilmarnock away, and Hearts away. Anything else I would have been fairly happy with. But that random computer always.
Yeah. Well, I thought that Billy
these...
myself. I thought. Yeah, I definitely thought to myself, at least it's not Aberdeen away or Kilmarnock away, especially after the start of last season. But yeah, I know that Hearts are again, all the teams are a tough challenge when we go away from home. But excuse me, I think Hearts are a good footballing team. We usually do all right against them at Tynecastle over the last year or two. So again, I would hope that it would maybe set us up for a good start to the season. It's maybe more the home games, again, just because at this moment in time we don't know where we're going to be playing. And then obviously probably what we'll touch on as well is the European games that we'll likely have over that period of time as well, whether we're away from home or at home. Again, because we don't know where we're going to be situated, the travel involved for that before that first Old Firm game. And again, we kind of touched on this at the end of last season. That first Old Firm game is so crucial, not just for the club but for the manager himself. That he's yet to get a really positive result against them. I know we had to draw at Ibrox, and but again, he's not won. Certainly, he's not won. So he really needs to go in and win that, or try and win it.
Let me throw this out. This is what a customer at work suggested to me: is that we ask Celtic to play at Celtic Park, because when the first Old Firm game comes up, it will be like a home match for us.
Well,
couldn't really agree with him, but
yeah,
logic a wee bit.
I know. Tell me about it. So, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting. It's just difficult at this moment in time, Billy, that just uncertainty of how the season will start, where we're going to be playing the matches. And again, we know that we're going to have 9-10 matches in that first month of August. It just we need to be settled. We need to be ready to go. And understand we're doing that with the pre-season training, but again, with those open items still hanging over the club in general, it's not great. The sooner they're resolved, I think the easier the fans will feel in general.
Well, you mentioned earlier, and you've just mentioned again just now the pre-season. The players do leave to go to the Netherlands next week to play Ajax in the first friendly, I guess, or a pre-season friendly. For me, I guess we've not got quite as many of the players in for that first pre-season game than I'd hoped. I mean, 5-6 is probably an okay number, but we're probably looking at wanting 12 in before the end of the transfer window, and none of the supposed experienced players have come in, and we still haven't sold anyone. So going into that first game against Ajax, which again it'll be a training match. It won't be it won't be like the Champions League game. But you're looking forward to any of these games?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to them all. I think it's just disappointing that none are at Ibrox again because of what we've touched on. I think the calibre of teams that we're playing are good quality. Again, understand between the Euros and internationals, it won't be a full strength squad for either team for probably all of the friendlies, probably not until the last one with Union Berlin. But it's a good test again. European football against Ajax hopefully gets us into the kind of European mindset with the qualifiers coming up. I think it's late July we play the Champions League qualifiers. So looking forward to it again. It's always good to see good quality teams come up against us, regardless of who's in them. You never know. Ajax might field the next. They might have the next superstar in the making, and hopefully, if again, it builds relationships between the clubs as well, and if we can, even get some of these players on loan, it would help. It obviously helps us, helps them. Similar to like some Alec Tillman coming in last 2 years ago. Building up those relationships in Europe will further strengthen our position going forward. So yeah, looking forward to them, and hopefully they're good quality games and not just we don't, as much as a friendly, I do want it to be competitive of sorts, because we do need that practice before going into the season ahead.
Just looking at where the game's going to get played, it's not at the Amsterdam Arena, it's at the Sportac Muldersingel. I have pronounced that wrong, I know that. But looking at the photos of it, it's not it's like Dumbarton, I think. So we're not going to get the Champions League flashy disco lights, and it's going to be a training session, and there's going to be to get the minutes into the legs of the players. But I'm just looking forward to it anyway. The next one after that, Manchester United at Murrayfield, might be a test run for folk if they find out how to get through there, or the easiest way possible. But I'm hoping still to pick up a ticket for that from somewhere. But you're looking forward to that one more?
Again, it's a Champions League level team, Billy, same as Ajax. It'll hopefully get us, give us a good challenge again. Probably we'll be further down the line in pre-season than what they would be. So again, you don't know the level of player that they'll have available to us. Again, it'll be interesting to see if Hamza Igamane plays for them, which would be a nice, reminisce for some anyway. Having been on loan at us a couple of years ago. So yeah, it should be a good game. It looks like an entertaining piece. It keeps up the relationship between the two clubs. It always seems to have been good over the years when we've played them, whether that be in competitive games or in friendlies for testimonials and whatever. So yeah, again, maybe it is more of a test run for Murrayfield if that ends up being where we need to play home games for the foreseeable future. So yeah, again, it's the attraction of the name. It's the quality of the name. First two are Ajax and Man United. It's box office to a degree. I understand the teams might not have your Bruno Fernandes and the likes of those players that are obviously still competing at the Euros, but I'm sure they'll still give us a tough test.
Birmingham after that, again, I think they'll still give us a tough test, despite not obviously being the big name that maybe they used to be. I know Apodder Rost had asked in our chat if anybody fancied going over to Berlin for the Union Berlin game. If I had more money, mate, I think that'd be one I'd like to go away and do, because I've never been to Berlin. I'd love to go, and I think by that time, that's a few games in. That's 4 games into pre-season. You're looking more at a team that's hopefully taking shape and how we're going to play for next season. So I would have been interested in going to that one, but nothing sorted. You interested in that one or the Birmingham one?
Probably not for going, just due to work and home life commitments. But again, I think they'll both be good games. Again, obviously with Birmingham having the takeover with Tom Brady from the NFL, it'll be interesting to see how they line up. Again, builds a good relationship. I know we touched on it before. I think it's been labelled as the kind of Trevor Francis Memorial Cup, which again puts a nice ring to it. Obviously, with the guy having passed away recently, in the relationship between him and both clubs. So, yeah, but it'll be interesting. Again, a different type of test, maybe more physical, maybe more along the lines of something that we'll come across in our league. The Union Berlin one's obviously an interesting one. I think, again, they're a Champions League European level team. Hopefully at that point, if we've navigated through at least one of the qualifying rounds or the first leg of the qualifying rounds, it just gives us that bit more experience getting into the future qualifiers, hopefully for the rest of the season.
I think last thing we were going to touch on, mate, is we did confirm a new assistant coach last week. I'll let you try and pronounce his name if that's all right.
Yeah, I'm going to, and I do apologise in advance if I butcher this, I'm going to say Andres Ulderink as assistant manager. So he came in, joined the backroom staff with Stefan van der Heyden, Alex Ray, Brian Gilmore and Colin Stewart. So Andres, as I'm not going to try and butcher the second name again, but he's been assistant coach at Royal Antwerp, FC Twente, Ajax and Reading. So he's a Dutchman. He's come in to help complement the coaching staff at the club, and Clement seems to have, he's not had much experience of him, but again, just an added bit of hopeful quality within the coaching staff. And again, I don't know if he's going to have an isolated role within the team, within the coaching staff, if he's going to have to focus on anything in particular. I know, again, we've had one of the pods during the week talking about a set piece coach, which I don't think he's known as an outright set piece coach, but again, that may be something that Clement asks him to look into as the season progresses. But yeah, again, it's good to see that we're making some hopeful quality signings off the park with the coaching staff as well as on it. I think I also we mentioned in the chat that there's maybe been a new head scout or a new scouting.
Yeah, that is Ludovic Limor.
Come to light. Okay, that was a better attempt than mine.
I just kind of rolled with it. I have again probably butchered the pronunciation, but someone who's probably going to come in and do the work for Coppin, isn't it? It's just as important for. Well, I'm going to say just as important. I think it's still very important that we have the back room, especially scouting and things like that, because we really need to be identifying. We're not buying players at 20 million. And for the foreseeable future, I don't think.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to get these younger players coming through all over the world. There should be your limitation should not be lower end of the Premier League or top of the Championship. We should be looking much further afield. And I think clearly we have been with a few of the signings that have come in.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't know much about them other than what I've read on a few chat sites or whatever, or on Rangers' website. So good that it's happening. It's more that I trust the manager more now than I did last season, and happy that he's making these appointments.
Yeah, and again, it's just kind of what we touched on. He seems to have good experience with having been an assistant coach elsewhere. I think with Reading, he was with Jaap Stam when he was a manager there. So again, maybe there's a link and a relationship there that we could utilise from the Dutch side. I know we had that with Gio maybe previously, and maybe that wasn't as we didn't lean on that as much as we probably would have hoped or should have utilised. But I'm hoping that he comes in and has an important part to play in the coaching staff. And again, I think just reading some of the comments from Clement, he wants to be able to have more coaching staff to be more hands-on with the players, so that they're not that they're more catered for, because again, obviously they're very they're very well paid and they're very well catered for in general, but maybe just to have that one-on-one time, it gives them more of an opportunity to delegate between all the coaching staff. Obviously Colin Stewart with the keepers, he's the main coach for those guys, so it'll be interesting to see how the dynamic works with Van der Heyden, Alex Ray and Brian Gilmore as the kind of other three main outfield playing coaches, if you want, outfield player coaching staff. So yeah, hopefully it can only be a benefit to the club, Billy. I think it's, again, I don't know, he's not a name that's known to me, other than obviously coming through to the club. But yeah, but it'll be interesting, and again, hopefully it helps benefit us come the end of the season with silverware.
Yeah, and the other thing is hopefully we begin to see what style Clement wants to implement here, because he's now getting his own men in. He can't really, not that he did fall back on the excuse that it's not his players or not his backroom staff, but at least now he's got the people he thinks will take the team forward and get that silverware. Last thing I think that I wanted to bring up was we finally got the home strip released this week. Are you buying it?
Not just yet. I think I'm fortunate that my birthday's not till September, so I might be asking for it as a birthday present. So I think, yeah, but I mean, obviously the away strip was released quite early on in the closed season. I think just when I looked at it, when we kind of touched on it offline, Billy, that the design of the top is to represent 125-year anniversary of being at Ibrox Stadium. I think probably one of the other benefits or one of the attractions to the kit is the Walter Smith quote, which I've got handy. So there are people for whom Rangers Football Club is their entire way of life, which I think we would all agree with is probably the majority, if not every single fan. So yeah, it's a nice top. Again, it's never going to shy away from the red, white and blue. And as much as I grudge paying such a high price for even the replica top at £75, I'll probably be on the next pod with it. So, but yeah, it's a nice top. They've obviously launched it in a good way as well. Being in the kind of main hallway at the marble staircase at Ibrox from the pictures that were released as well. So yeah, it looks nice. Obviously slightly different design to what we've had in the past. But what about yourself? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's blue. It's a blue home strip. There's you get outrage on your likes of like Follow or other sites, Reddit as well, with their problems with it. But it's, every time they come out, I think I just feel the same. Oh, that's a home strip, and then I eventually, like yourself, talk myself into buying it. Generally, my kids don't mind wearing the season behind, so they usually get it, in the Christmas sales or whatever. In fact, my youngest one's walking about with a 2-year-old one 2 years ago strip on this morning, so they just like the blue. That's a blue strip. That's fine. So I'm too old to be worrying about the fashion side of the Rangers strip, but look, it's nice enough. We'll see it often enough that it'll just become, we're fine with it. And I know you touched on the price, but I feel if we do moan about it too much, it's just old men shout at clouds level. That's the price of the strips now. We're no different from any other club anymore. That's the price. I mean, even like I came across a Dunfermline one the other day, then that was just the same price.
Yeah.
So it's what they go for. It makes the club money. That's why we have 18 different versions of every season, with third and fourth and fifth. But anyway, mate, that's all I had to talk about. If there's anything you wanted to bring up, go for it now, mate. Otherwise, say your goodbyes.
Just to touch on one of the comments in the chat, I think for the women's team, the Rangers women's team, they find out their Champions League qualifying opponents today for the draw. So good luck to them. Hopefully it's a favourable tie, and probably see that later on this afternoon once that's been drawn. So yeah, that was really everything I had, Billy, for today.
No worries. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. Again, I apologise for the pod starting later. It started later for you, didn't start later for us, but we had to go over our points again. I think we did better the second time round. They benefited from that.
Yeah. More cohesive thought.
But thank you for all your comments. Sorry if I've missed any. I didn't any appropriate ones I didn't put on the screen. They come up thick and fast at times. So yeah, please like and subscribe. We're on every night next week. Can't remember exactly all the subjects. I think me and Ross will be discussing the signings on Monday night. Two sides of the coin. Has there been enough, or are we getting too worked up about it? So I know I'm on that one, so I look forward to doing that. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you everyone for watching, and remember, every night is the Rangers Journal night. Thank you.